Okay, just for the recording, sorry to interrupt your mind, but now we're just doing a little bit of forward casting. So imagining what our movement would be for the next 2 minutes if it was nice and smooth. Were there movements that you avoided that you want to try? Were there joints in your body that you're afraid to move that you want to kind of explore or just improve a little bit? Were you staying flat on the ground or were you moving up and down? How could you change your movement so that it's more creative, smoother? Good, guys. So now for the next 2 minutes, I want you to kind of explore that kind of movement. So we're going to start moving again for 2 minutes, just warming up the body. Remember, inhaling, exhaling as you're moving. Open yourself up, guys. If you have a hard ground, this is actually good training for your body to get comfortable with moving on a hard surface. And try and get rid of that hesitation that you have to kind of massage different parts of your body on the ground. Good, guys. Maintain your breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Excellent, guys. And come to sitting nice and slowly. Now I want you to just reflect back on your movement. Was it what you had envisioned? Were there some things that you thought you could do that you couldn't? Just spend some time, 30 seconds, just reflecting on the movement that you just did. Can you recreate it in your mind? Excellent, guys. I'm going to unmute you guys. If you guys have any comments or anything that you notice, you can share. And if I haven't unmuted you, then you can unmute yourself because some of you guys, it looks like I can't unmute you. Did you guys notice any improvement or anything that you personally noticed from forward casting or back casting, thinking about the future, thinking about the past?
It was interesting, just some of the points that were a little tight when I was rolling. So now when I thought back to it, I would just feel that muscle group and it would bring back the action. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, uncanny how you can recreate tensions. You can almost re-experience the same tension.
Yes.
Anything else, guys? Okay.
I found that there was a desire to, when I was imagining it, there was a desire to do something, in other words, to be more fluid. And when I got into it, my mind kept locking up on all the things I don't want to do.
Okay. Good observation. So we also get an understanding of how our brain works. Sometimes we instead of imagining where we want to go, sometimes we think about the things we don't want, and it just shows you where you are. Just today, you know, you could be different tomorrow. We're going to take a break from the mental training a little bit because we do have to, the brain fatigues. We're going to start preparing our body because today we're going to practice falling and working with fear. So we're going to prepare our torso a little bit, our spine, to get a little more comfortable. So I'm going to mute you guys unless you have a question, and you can unmute yourself. Okay, so I'm going to show you some basic moves. First, with your hands, you can keep your hands here, but I want you to start moving like you're trying to work a hula hoop, but with your torso. And at first, make the movement small, but later, if you're comfortable, I want you to start to push so that you're really bending your spine. I do want you to match your breathing with the movement. So expanding the chest, usually I inhale. You can do whatever way you want, and usually when I collapse myself, I exhale. Just a natural sort of breathing. And change directions on your own, just so you explore more. Sometimes my classes can be prescriptive because it's sometimes it's hard to teach over Zoom rather than in person. So I do want you guys to kind of explore. If you're feeling comfortable, you can start to go faster, but I want it with relaxation. So faster, but relaxed. Because when we start working on falling towards the ground and touching and impacting the ground, we do have to be able to react by being soft. So our spine needs to be flexible, but in a relaxed way.
Michael, is your movement led by your chest, by your lower back? What actually leads this movement?
I think of different parts of my spine that are tight. So for me, my mid-back is tight. Okay. So I think of my sternum collapsing in. And I'm really working one part of my spine that's tight. But for you, it might be a different part. It might be more of your upper back, for example.
Yeah, that was the question. We want to just find the tension in that body and move it rather than leading with a specific body part, right?
Yeah, I personally like to work through the tension. Although if you have an injury, I recommend just go easy on that area. Good, guys. So now something a little bit more intense. I'm sitting with my legs crossed. So we're going to be doing two movements. So I'm going to be reaching up and creating an arch with my ribs. Then I'm going to do a movement to chop across, but I'm going to combine them. So I'll show you inhaling. And when I chop across, I'm going to exhale. And I want to turn. So I'm creating a twist in my spine. Then I'm going to alternate sides, reaching over. I'm going to chop across and exhale. I'm going to keep alternating. So for you guys, work at whatever pace you like. You're always stretching up with the curved side and adding a twist with the other. Reaching up and over. So stretching the spine and lengthening. Hey, Meadow. Good, guys. And just check your spinal movement now. See how you're moving. If things are feeling good. If things improved. We're going to continue on from this work. So now I had you reach over and I had you chop across. Now I want you to chop outside. So it's actually going to look like you're throwing something. So I'll show you the movement all together. So reaching up and then coming out and across. Then the other side, so coming away. So it almost looks like you're throwing a sandbag over your shoulder. Reaching up. And match your breathing and your movement. I like to exhale. Gives me, it's like wringing a towel. It just makes it feel like it's really getting the knots up. Okay, good, guys. Now just check your spine, see if things feel good. And hopefully we have some improvements. At least you're feeling like you're warmed up in that part of your body. Okay, so we can also start forward casting and back casting to get rid of fear, or to at least analyze ourselves if we've reacted with fear. So we're going to use falling to the ground as a tool to kind of be able to view our fear. We're going to do it from seated first. You can do it on your knees first, and then we're going to work our way to standing. So first, I just want you to have the experience of falling to the ground. So simple, you can be seated or on your knees, and you're just going to let yourself collapse, come back to center, let yourself collapse, come back to center. Eyes open or closed. Eyes closed generally brings more fear if you want to challenge that part. And I want you just to get comfortable with being soft and touching the ground. And again, sometimes it's hard to fall forward sitting with your legs crossed, so you can go up on your knees for the same experience. What better way to get rid of fear than falling in the comfort of your own home, right? That's where accidents can happen. So just get comfortable with, especially if you have a hard floor, that's perfect. Perfect for the training. And guys, make sure breathing is incorporated with the movement. As you land, you can exhale. That feels comfortable for you. And if you're feeling more comfortable, you can actually let your body impact the ground a little bit. But remember, you have to approach the ground with softness. Excellent, guys. That was about 2 minutes. If you guys can come up to sitting, you can stay lying down if you want, if that helps you kind of turn off the body and engage the mind more. I want you to think about how you felt. Maybe what were some areas that stood out to you? Were there areas that were tense, or were there areas where you held your breath? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. We'll just start to think about how we moved. Just reflect on it. Okay, so now I want you to start thinking, if you can do it again and you had the opportunity to do it again, how would you do it differently? Would you explore different areas? Would you be a little softer in some areas? Okay, good guys. So we're gonna start another round for about 2 minutes, falling down, getting up. If you can, I want you to go onto your knees. I know some of you guys have a hard floor, so not necessary if you're not comfortable with that and you have knee challenges. You can do it from seated as well. But I want you to start same exercise from this point. I want you to slowly work on getting more and more comfortable, going down and getting up. And remember, quality over quantity. You don't have to keep repeating yourself if you're not physically feeling good today. You got an injury that you got to nurse a little bit, take it a little bit slower. But if you're feeling good, this is excellent to kind of loosen the body. guys, make sure your breathing is with your movement. So use your breathing to soften your fall. And remember, did you want your movement to be smoother? Did you want to challenge your fear a little bit more? Did you want impact on your body? Did you want to fall harder? Kind of wake yourself up. Excellent, guys. Come up to sitting. Or if you want, you can continue lying down. And I want you to think about your movement again. Were there areas of your movement where you were afraid, where you hesitated or held yourself tense? And just think about your movement. See if you can recreate it in your head. Sometimes we think about the techniques, but what emotions came up for you? What were you feeling during the falling? Could have been about your performance. It could have been fear. Okay, excellent, guys. If you're feeling uncomfortable, I do want you to be careful. We're going to start falling from standing. If you want, you can continue falling, but from the knees, if you're not comfortable doing that. I think a lot of you had experience from falling from standing. So before we even do that, I just want you to start thinking. Now that you're standing, I just want you to imagine what it would be like going down to the ground, getting up. A lot of you have experience with this, so you kind of know yourself a little bit. But kind of imagine how smooth you want to be, like the ideal scenario. Even keep in mind some of the obstacles that you know yourself to have challenges with, if it's your knees or your back, or if you know you tense up and hold your breath. Imagine how you're going to overcome those obstacles. It's important to think of how smooth it's going to be, but also when there's a challenge, how are you going to respond? And it might mean that you're going to take it easy on yourself in that part of the fall. It might mean that you're going to push through it as long as you don't hurt yourself. You have to also be prepared for where things will go wrong, where things can go wrong, I should say. Okay, so I do want the falling to be completely relaxed. So you just let yourself go. And up again. So you can collapse yourself, let go, and come back up. You want to make sure that there's no fear as you're going down, and if there is, see if you can still work even with the fear involved. We're going to do this for a couple of minutes. Remember, exhaling as you go down usually is a good option. Especially if you have a tight space, this is really good for learning how to collapse your body in one spot. Nice, guys. Some of you guys are rolling. Remember, take it easy. If you guys are feeling it's causing some injuries, you can always go back to your knees or sitting on your bum. There's always benefit in as long as you're falling down to the ground. Excellent. You guys are doing really well. Excellent, guys. Slowly catch your breath. You can stay standing or you can come seated a little bit closer. I'm going to unmute you guys. If anyone wants to share some feedback they had from their experience, thinking about the movement before they fell or their experience during the falling with using forward casting to kind of help your movement improve.
I found I had to think about how I was going to fall before falling.
You have to think about it before you fell. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't spontaneous.
Okay. Good feedback. Anyone else want to share? Okay. I'm going to mute you guys again. Okay, so now I want you just reflecting back on how you operated during that time. Just, oops. There we go. So I want you to spend 30 seconds just thinking back. Okay, excellent. Next, we're going to imagine that we're handcuffed. So either behind your back or in front of you. You have to keep your arms together. So behind your back, or you can do it in front of you. And we're going to be falling from standing with your hands bound. And I want you to think about how that movement is going to be from falling to going on the ground. What are some areas that will get stuck for you? What are some ways that you can do it smoothly and softly? And I just want you to imagine that movement. I'll give you guys about 30 seconds for that. Okay, excellent, guys. Whenever you're ready and whenever your mind is kind of prepared, Alberto's already tying his wrists up, so he's getting the authentic experience. So you guys can go from standing, arms behind the back or in front. And I want you to go down smoothly and get up in different ways. Remember, guys, match your breathing and your movement. Keep breathing. At no point should you be holding your breath. Work at your own pace. And you really want to make sure that there's no fear there. And that even if it does come up, you can still operate. Even with fear in the background, you can still do your movements. Excellent, guys. You can come up to sitting. Slowly regain your breathing if you've lost it. We got the fans going. I hope you guys can still hear me okay. Okay. So I want you just to take some time and just reflect on that movement. See how much of it you can recreate in your mind. So I know it was a 2-minute chunk of movement, but see if you can recreate that in your mind. Excellent, guys. And you can see how hard that is. Sometimes your attention starts drifting and thinking of other things. Some of you guys looked really focused. I could tell you're still in the moment of your movement. Now we're going to add a challenge, and I want you guys to modify based on your ability and based on how healthy you're feeling today. We're going to be holding a push-up for the duration of 5 minutes. And for some of you, that's not a challenge. For some of you, that seems like a pretty big challenge. But I want you to forward cast how you're going to respond to the obvious challenges that will come up. Your arms will likely shake. Your muscles will start to get really tight. You might want to start thinking about giving up in your mind, and you have to be prepared that you're going to hold it for as long as you can. And you definitely don't have to do it for 5 minutes if it's too uncomfortable. But you also have to have a backup plan for when things start going wrong. And this is part of the benefit of forward casting. Spend a few minutes just imagining yourself in the perfect push-up. Sometimes it's good to prepare ourselves for hard things. Sometimes we just cause ourselves more anxiety and fear. Okay, whenever you're ready, we're gonna get up in a push-up. I have a clock here, so I'm timing it for 5 minutes. You could do on your open hands or on your fist, depending on your comfort. You can do it on your knees or up on your toes, depending how comfortable you are. So it can be a modified version like this, kind of like a plank. It can be a full plank on your elbows, or if you'd like, you can do the push-up, the Sistema style. Whatever you guys like. And I'm counting time now. Remember, guys, inhaling and exhaling. you've already mentally prepared for this. So as it starts getting harder, you guys are ready. You have all the mental tools you need to get through this, and physical tools. You got your breathing as well. That's been about 2 minutes. You guys are still doing really well. You can see you guys are looking really strong. And you can see most endurance exercises are a mental game. You know your mind is going to start chattering and saying, well, this exercise is stupid, or I want to give up right now. But if you'd like, you can go back and realize you're prepared for that and just keep breathing and keep holding. And again, if you're feeling pain, I do want you to stop. I do need you to take a break. I don't want any of you guys to get injured. Okay, guys, we got 1 more minute left. You guys are looking really good and strong. Twenty seconds left. Excellent, guys, and slowly come up to sitting. I want you to spend 30 seconds or a minute just thinking about that experience. See if you can recreate it in your mind. Excellent, guys. And if you guys want to come a little bit closer and share some feedback, just some things you might have noticed or experienced for yourself with the exercises. Sometimes it helps guide other people through the experience if they know at least somebody might have had the similar experience.
Michael, for me, in the push-up at least, I could very clearly feel which muscles are not as strong in the push-up, and therefore forcing other muscles to take over so that the tension that built up in the weaker muscles wasn't wearing me out.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I thought about it, the first place that got my attention were those tense muscles. In other words, that realization didn't come to me until after the exercise, where I could feel the tension in my neck, for instance, or my lower back. And then I remembered that all I was doing was compensating for those weaker muscles.
That's excellent. Good feedback. And just that feedback alone, you can realize that the next time we do it, we know those are our weak areas and we can kind of prepare for them. Anyone else want to share their experience with any of the drills today, or this kind of work?
I found with the handcuffed hands, I let myself fall without thinking about it too much. I just collapsed because I couldn't use my hands.
That's
I don't know if
excellent.
that makes sense.
Actually, I thought of that just to remedy, because I didn't want you in your head too much, and I know this work can do that as well. But just because you have to be more spontaneous with.
Yeah, I noticed that for me anyway.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna meet you guys again. Thank you guys for participating. I'll just leave you guys with the two quotes. Those who do not move do not realize their chains. And logic will get you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. So I hope you guys have a great day. We're gonna continue our work. The mental training is tomorrow at noon, and then Friday we have a class as well. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks, Michael. Cheers, bud.
You guys.